I'm a partner in this firm called Sankar and Associates. We're headquartered out of Coimbatore, with branches in Chennai and now slowly in Bangalore. Started by my father in 1967, so we are getting into our 50th year this year. We are currently about 74 people in Coimbatore. We are about 4 in Chennai and hopefully another 4 in Bangalore. The background of the client, he's a businessman, he's a hotelier. He had a design brief. He's actually building the house for his son. He's originally from a place called Mettupalayam, which is a small place near Coimbatore. And he wanted to build a house in the city. He wanted a simple 4-bedroomed house. So that's all he had as a programmatic requirement. If you looked at the site is in the heart of Coimbatore. I mean, it's in one of the most important areas of Coimbatore. It's a corner site and it's a very densely populated neighborhood. So if you look at the site width, it's only about 5 cents. So that's approximately about 2,450 square feet. It's about 2,600 square feet and change. So if you look at the site width, this is only 42 feet 3 inches. And there is a very mild taper. It's a north facing site. And the site length is 60 on one side. But the problem is there is a corner on one side. So that is a 5 by 5 corner. So it's 55 on the other side. If you look at the predominant wind flow in that area, it's kind of in this direction. It was very important that we take that into context as well. See, the programmatic requirements were quite heavy. It's a 4-bedroomed house. They wanted a family room, they wanted a living room, they wanted a dining room, they wanted a kitchen, and each of it reasonably big. So, and we also had to, abide by the local bylaws. So, and there was also a Vastu constraint. So ultimately it had to be a rectangular building. So what we did was we wanted to bring in the entry from the northeast as is dictated by Vastu. So that was a predetermined thing, and that actually set us thinking on how do we break this rectangular mass, and that to me was the primary design question. We wanted to design a house not with a garden but in a garden. Right? So what we did was we started carving out spaces and we introduced this internal garden space into the setback. I mean, we had to leave a minimal of about 8 feet setback on all around. So there was hardly any space. So we had to sort of cut in and bring in these carved, green corners into this. So that's where we started working on the site. So the entry was predetermined. The kitchen and the service areas were predetermined. So it actually fell together pretty nicely. So we were able to bring in the car porch and actually do the car porch here. We were able to create a second sort of a wicket gate and an entry from here. So it sort of nicely defined the whole thing. And it also started defining the mass. Because of the programmatic requirement, we had to go to 2 floors. We had to go with the ground, first and a second floor. One of the interesting things of the house is every room that mattered has a view into the garden. A lot of times what happens is smaller properties, especially daylight and ventilation, is always a challenge. So we wanted to bring in as much light and ventilation as possible into the building by carving out these gardens. So that was the primary design context. The house has a very clean flow. There is a main formal drawing hall, which is about 16 by 16. And we always try and introduce a little foyer. So what we do is we always try and bypass the drawing room. Because let's say, people come in and are waiting for you and you're a little late, you can always go in, get dressed or whatever and come back, and you don't have to, disturb. And a lot of these families are joint families, and the family space opens into this beautiful internal garden. And the internal garden have these pergolas on top. One of the big problems that we face in these tight urban spaces are the need to use, security grills everywhere. It ultimately starts making the house look pretty bad. We have actually created pergolas that go back and, hit the compound wall, and they become security grills, making all the other windows completely grillless. Not only that, the minute you do these internal gardens, you're going to have this flow of air through that, and because you are reducing the width, you create a certain convection current. Even if you do a small window on the other side, you can actually feel the wind gushing in. This is the formal drawing room. You have a family space, which is where I think the family sits together and watches TV. It's an informal space, and then you have the dining, kitchen, and a service yard. It's a very simple plan. but it flows from one space to another, and everything opens to a green space. And we had to bring in a lift because it was a G+2 building. When you go to the first floor, you come in and land at another lounge study kind of space. They wanted a small library there, so that's what's given. And there's one master bedroom in the southwest corner, and there is another smaller bedroom in the front. For a site of this size, the master bedroom has a large attached toilet. It's about 10 by 8. There's a dressing room and a walk-in wardrobe. This also opens out into a central garden. And every room, what we've done is we've provided a small linen storage. We wanted to, bring a garden at every level. So the lounge and these bedrooms open right into this main garden. And it also starts helping me to break the form to make it very, very interesting. Second floor, there is another small guest bedroom, and there is a lounge again, which they're using it currently as a home theatre, which also opens into home theatre and bar, which actually opens out into the study. Second master bedroom, that's the son's bedroom, which is of equal size and equal requirements. You have the deck actually reduces. So what you do is from the top deck, you see down into the lower deck. So if you look at it, it's like a nice stepped garden that goes up throughout. One of the Vastu requirements was they wanted to sort of tie this whole building. Ultimately, when you looked at the building from the top, it had to be a rectangle. So we brought this large parasol canopy on the top, which sort of tied the whole thing, and you have these cut corners, and this canopy sort of ties the whole thing, and we lightened this canopy. It's a huge cantilever. It's a cantilever of about 20 feet. So it's a massive cantilever, and what we've done is to sort of reduce this thing. We've introduced this sort of cut trellis on top with the glass on the top. So it completely opens out the corners, but it also ties the whole building, and it looks like a rectangle with a hollowed out corner. So that's kind of what we've done to sort of make the mass very, very interesting. It had to be straight on the other side, and this becomes the most captivating part. One of the things that we wanted to do interior wise was we wanted to keep the clean lines, and we kept to not a very large material palette. So if you look at the flooring, it's predominantly Italian marble. We'd used the beige color marble throughout the building, not too many patterns because it's a small space again. We wanted to keep it clean, and all we wanted to do was contrast of material without any borders and patterns and it being fussy. We've done a very warm kind of an interior. That's kind of what the client wanted. It's not what you would call extremely contemporary, but we wanted to mix it and we wanted to make it as warm as possible. There's a lot of wood interspersed, wooden rafters at places, and some wooden ceilings. Most of the bedrooms we've done hardwood flooring and a lot of soft furnishing. External palette wise, it's a clean building. What we had done is it's largely stucco finished. All these parasols and canopies are just painted with exterior emulsion with a weather shield. It's completely interspersed with these pergolas. So from place to place you would see these MS laser cut pergolas. And what we had done is we had selected a mixture of sandstone and marble, and it's a rough finish. So we had done that to sort of break the monotony of the stucco. So the material palette was against, but what I really wanted was I wanted all the vegetation to come out. I wanted all the landscape to stand out because of these stepping masses that happened. We wanted the landscape to become the hero of the project. The internal courtyard per se is very interesting. What we did there was we had done this hand crafted stone panel on the wall. We had done 3 of those panels, and it looks especially nice at night. One of the things that we found to be gratifying was that he always leaves that garden open. He doesn't even close the door because he's not worried about the security, because I think the grills sort of are removed from it. So he's always sitting there. So that to me was the probably the most gratifying part of the project.